provinces from our previous mayors. But how about this one? How about this mayor now? No, it's still going on. So they will not have much like it's still tell the lie well. Eventually. Well, because you have to so then is it going to turn it back? Like if you're maybe outside, he just was also your pay.
That's harder to you're listening to topic. Maybe you topic not doesn't need to be your friends. But then you need to involve someone to the
No, that's in my experience. But I don't know why they didn't do that.
This give you reason to wait like how we identify or
whether the question are here or not, whether the object or not, are related to the results.
But the question on the is that you do the technique was used when
That's my
and you can say, but for avoiding, which means
examiner of research. So you are writing research method. This method is not for your research. You still need to observe their daily life to make sure that they really have no idea. Yeah, the second question. How to
They're doing it serious.
I can confirm from here.
see the attitude.
So, the questions I inform my performance to several families, of course, the seniors and their parents, their parents are lecturers in my university.
It's
They are
okay.
lecturers at teaching institutions.
Anyone who has
Indonesia are willing to contribute. So, yeah, based on counter, right? It's also play.
We provide time. Perhaps also play is personal. Yeah.
An hour experiment.
Is it possible to
What?
or
200 and
that is
what?
or some
For an hour, is there a smart?
It would be costing this much?
I think
Just to
Yeah.
interview a person.
people don't know you and they're like,
You mean like a mission form?
Is it one of research ethics or customer? It's not
but getting that fee doesn't mean they are going to tell you.
hey,
What's this? They spend time doing this.
yeah. But it's really
Spend time with everything.
I think
what?
on the right way.
Buying their time.
Oh,
I want to break it into
maybe my
Okay, so this time let's get started from this group. Okay, so what did this happen if we have interviewees who are not willing to tell us the truth? Okay, and as a researcher, how could we prevent this from happening? Angela? Okay, hey, everybody, let's listen to Angela, this group's input. Okay.
First of all, we need to build a good relationship between the interviewers and interviews, because if the interviews feel uncomfortable in that environment, then they might say something like that is not true. And also, in my point of view, I also think we can tell the interviews that if this question is too personal for you to answer, you can just give it and just tell us you don't want to answer this question.
Okay, all right. So a lot of issues here it's that building the trust between the two, right? It's the same, I think, right? You are not going to tell anyone something very personal if you don't have the trust between you and the interviewer. Okay? And then also a very good point is allows the interviewee to say, I don't feel comfortable telling you now, okay? Perhaps later. You could say, if you feel comfortable telling me, share that with me later, you're welcome to do so. So if they don't feel that they are being forced to tell you something, they will not choose to tell you the lie, right? They know it's okay not to reveal now. They have the freedom to choose. Okay? Very good point here. Okay? What about this group?
So we think an interviewee may be deceptive when they don't feel comfortable in the environment, or they're worried about the consequences of telling the truth, or just like insecurity, or feel like they were being judged by interviewers. And we think we can maybe tell whether the interview is telling a lie based on their body languages or like their behavior, like they may use ambiguous words or over-explaining their answers. And I think the solution, like one of the solutions can be giving them a consent form, like telling them that your information will not be disclosed in the report. You can feel free to answer like whatever you wanted to say. And I agree with Angela, like we can also tell interviewees that if you don't feel comfortable sharing with us, you don't have to. Just not to be too aggressive.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. Very good point, because it's a lot. Sometimes the issues could be personal. And talking about consent form, one of the conditions in the consent form is you can feel free to withdraw from the study at any time. So in that case, I think the interviewee will not be, like feeling threatened. However, it could be a threat to the researcher, right? If you only have 1 or 2 participants and then we decided to withdraw in the middle of the study, that could be a huge threat. So building trust is the most essential first step for this kind of interview, okay? And a lot of things that you guys were talking about the environment, right? The setting. If you know that in today's interview, they are going to talk about the principal, and the principal's office just next to the setting that you're going to conduct the interview. Definitely, your interviewee will not feeling secure to talk about that. So where the setting that you are being interviewed, like you are conducting the interview, it's very important. Okay, or sometimes it could be too noisy, and it's so difficult to share. When you are sharing something very personal and the outside environment is so noisy, you will probably just skip it. And then just, like, you're not telling a lie, but you are not willing to share as detailed as possible. Okay, good, very good point. What about this group here? Okay.
How do we?
You're still waking up? Nah? Huh?
We talked about 3.
Okay, so you want to...
So,
One is like the previous group.
Okay.
Build
Trust.
build trust. Yeah, and
another one is like consent form, right? Which is
Okay.
this is money,
Give them money and then they will feel better trust.
like when they're signing, they will probably have the pressure, like they have to tell the truth, signing the contract.
Oh, you mean signing the contract?
Yeah, one
To
of
make
the
it
ways.
formal. Is that what you
Yeah.
mean? To make it formal?
And Elsa also said we can have some examination after the interview.
I mean, maybe using others method as objecting data, or to make this individual more trustable, more valuable.
Okay.
For example, language proficiency. If they say they can speak this language, then we'll have an examination to see how proficient they are.
Observation operation supported the being.
Very good. What happened?
Why don't we just buy a lie detector?
How?
Just get a lie detector.
Oh. Then they wouldn't tell you anything. Nothing. Okay. I think one way for us to do it is to conduct the interview several times rather than once, because sometimes they forgot what they have said. And then if you interview them several times, you will be able to see, hey, you said this, last time, but then you said this time. It seems to me that they are conflict. So what do you think? What do you say? They got to tell you something. Okay, that's one thing. Now we call it triangulation. When we have tri means what? It's not only one source of data. You have interview and then several times. So that gives you opportunities to check and to help you to detect if there are any inconsistency. Okay. A second way is when you say build trust. How can human beings build trust if you only get to see the person once and then you say, let me interview you, something very personal? Usually it has to be a long-term relationship. Okay. For example, you sit in your participants' classroom for 1 semester. That's a long-term trust, right? They know that you're not going to do them any harm based on the previous experience. You have been here for 1 semester, and I'm doing okay. So you must be, you're not going to do something harmful to me. So I am willing to trust you. And also, I think if you can do something helpful for your interviewee, okay, you don't just, oh, you are struggling, oh, that's your own business. Right? If you sit in the classroom, you observe that your interviewee is struggling with her teaching or his teaching, then you are willing to give a hand and to help out. Then they know that you guys are on the same boat. You are not the researchers getting data and leave. You are here as a helper to build a learning environment. Then they will trust you. They are willing to share more. So it's relationship, okay? It's the kind of relationship that you are building with your participants, okay? All right, what about this group here?
Triangulation is the basic process.
Triangulation, right?
We have to find multiple fighting resources because we can compare each other to check the trueness. And if sometimes when a student really get something like end of course reflection, after that course, the student can answer or write down some feelings based on their thought about the class. For example, he will say, Kahoot is a bad thing because I don't think Kahoot is interesting in the class. But after that, when the teacher is interviewing the student, he will, based on his politeness, and say something like, a good idea to use Kahoot. So I think if you can compare the two, you can find someone is not reliable, so you will skip the student A and try to rely on other students' response.
Okay. All right, so that's also another, you do not rely on only one participant. So triangulation in terms of variety of data sources. Okay, data sources. Okay, so is Kahoot interesting? And then I think Effie just mentioned, a lot of times you can observe the participants, the way of how they express themselves.
So professional.
Yeah, it's very professional. Yes. See, like, do you have any experience interviewing people? Effie, do you have any experience in interviewing people? Yeah. Okay. A lot of researchers, they will watch how they behave and interact, even the tone. So you could probably tell whether they are telling you the truth. Sometimes they express, okay, yeah, well, we like it, but then look at her facial expression, 我们很喜欢啊. You know they don't like it because of that facial expression and the way of what if they are willing to look at you, or it's like, oh, well, 还可以啦. So the facial expression, that's why sometimes when they interview people, they do not only use audio tape, they also use video tape because all the facial expressions and behaviors is also part of the response too. Okay, if you really want to know the personal accounts, it's not only getting the data, the reports, but the whole set is also quite critical. Okay? Now, so building trust, okay? Building trust. If you're now only just go and get information and leave, then you have to think about how are you going to build the trust. Okay, that entry point. So always take your participant as a person, not as the source of your data. As a person, how you would like to be treated as an interviewee. Okay, and think about if you only, before you go, you don't know them well, and you are asking pushy questions the very first time. Because you don't know them well, and you don't know that this question could be very, very sensitive. You're not going to ask them this kind of sensitive questions the very first time when you first meet. You can judge what kind of questions are appropriate for the first time interview. Okay, and always give them enough time. So that's why I always tell my students, send them the interview questions at least 1 week beforehand, at least, so that they can read through the questions and get themselves prepared. Sometimes they do not intend to tell you the untruths, but because they are not well prepared and they don't want to look stupid or not well prepared for the interview. So they just pop out something, whatever they can remember. However, if they are, you give them enough time, they can better prepare, they will tell you more. Okay? And they will not tell you something that is untrue. Alright, so time for preparation is extremely important. Okay? Alright. So before I give some lecture on the interview, I would like to, I'm afraid that we are running out of time, so I'm going to tell you the task. Remember last time we should have class, but suddenly I realized, oh my God, okay, October 9th, we're supposed to meet, but then we move our class to when? To, I forgot the date. Anyway, we're supposed to come and then meet that time, but we didn't, right? So I have something for you guys, okay? Let's take a look at your Moodle. Not now, okay, wait, my Moodle. Here, where's my Moodle? The task, up here. If you look at your Moodle, there are 4 theses, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4 theses, okay. And originally last year, okay, we have 4 theses presented. But this year, I would like to do it differently. I would like you to, you could, okay, this could be one way for the grouping. You don't have to find your partners, just like this. Or you could decide you're going to find your partners. Okay. Anyway, we have a total of 4 right now, right? 4 groups. Okay. You could decide as the way it is now as your group members, or you could decide that you're going to randomly assign one more time, or you want to find your group members. Anyway, we would like to have 4 groups. Okay. However, instead of reading 4 theses, okay, 4 studies, this year I want you to decide 2 studies out of the 4. 2 out of 4. So that means 2 groups, the same report, the same study. 2 groups, 1 study, 2 groups, 1 study. Is that clear? So that means that 2 groups in our class were reviewing the same study. Then I can tell which group can do a better job. No, I'm kidding. Yes, in a way. Yes, in a way, but also I think you could also see how the other group do the same job, the same task, and then you can see how the study is being reviewed and critiqued. Okay, that's my purpose. So instead of having 4, so this year I want you to only pick 2. So 2 groups, the same study, 2 groups, the same study. Okay, and then when we say critique the study, what does it mean when we say critique? Critique doesn't mean that you only point out the weaknesses. Critique means that you are able to see the strengths and also the weaknesses. So both sides. Okay? And let me quickly go over these 4 studies. The first 3 are from National Zhengzhi University. Personally, I have to say, I think their students really did a very good job on qualitative research because they have a long tradition of qualitative research. Okay, their professors and their students. Okay, so the first 3 are from National Zhengzhi University, and the last one is from NTNU. Okay, and all these 4 are qualitative in nature. Qualitative in nature. Okay, and they have the whole idea is for two purposes. I want you to give you a very clear idea about how other graduate students conducted qualitative research from the beginning to the end, to give you an overview. And secondly is all these 4 studies employed interviewed as the major research data collection. Okay, that's a data collection method. So I want you to take a look at how they generated the interview questions, okay, and then how they analyzed the data. Okay, I will send you the guided questions so that you have some idea about how to do the critique. But your job, first of all, because you are going to do this October 22nd, if I remember that correctly. October 22nd, is that? Take a look at the time. That week. 23rd, okay? October 23rd. It's Monday, October 23rd. So each group, you will have 20 minutes of your critique. 20 minutes of critique, okay? Each group, you have 20 minutes of critique. Critique, I'll give you a guidelines what you're gonna do within those 20 minutes. So you do it as a group work, okay? Tell us the strengths of the study and the weaknesses of the study and how those weaknesses can be improved. Okay, so that's the group presentation, okay? So think about how you're gonna form the group. You wanna do it as the way it is now? Okay. Elena, you let them decide, okay? Probably during the recess, you could decide whether you just wanna, the group will be like this. This is a destiny, okay? Or you wanna find your, or whatever you wanna come up with, the way of how you're gonna be grouped, okay? And secondly is that you're gonna decide which two studies and which one group is gonna critique which study. Only 2, you don't have to read 4 this year, 2, okay? All right? Okay. And when you decide which 2, I would strongly recommend you to pick one that has complete interview questions, the whole procedure. That's just my personal preference, as she said. Okay. So then you will have a better chance to see how interview questions are generated. Okay. Because that's one of the key purposes. I want you to learn from others how they generated their interview questions, okay, for their study. Okay. And how is that to do with literature review and research purpose and research questions? All those elements are connected. It's not out of nowhere and, oh, let me interview you. For what? What is that for? Okay, so every component is strongly interconnected. Okay? Any question for the task? October 23rd as a group. So every group you have 20 minutes of presentation. So you're gonna work as a group task. Okay? Okay. Now let's move on to that's a question I have for you, right? I want you to decide. You want to do this as the way it is now, today? Because the destiny, you are grouped. No, you don't have to find other group members. Yes or no? Alena, you probably can ask them to vote or whatever. You can decide as a group, okay? You could just say, okay, so let's do it. That's the way it is. Or you want to find another way to find your group members, okay? Okay. This is the updated one? No?
Which
Is this the most updated one? No? Okay, I like the author's perspective. Okay, here for the author, what is interview? I like how the author conceptualized interview. Interview is a professional conversation between the researcher and the research. How nice! It's not about me want to get something from you. You acknowledge as a researcher my role. The questions I have has a lot to do with the kind of interview data, the interaction between the researcher and the research. So it's a professional conversation.
May I ask a question?
Oh, sure.
Can we consider interrogation to be an interview?
What does it mean?
Interrogation. When
Inter-
policeman interrogates the criminal, for example, is that an interview?
Is that an interview? You think it's an interview? If I put it in a, because this is a qualitative research methodology course, I would personally think interview, if I were to consider that as an interview, it has to have this. Okay, it has to have some procedures. The procedure is, where are they? Okay, here. It has to have some components. Okay, you have to prepare for an interview. So it's not like this. It has to be prepared. Okay, and then you have to set up the interview. Think about who you're going to interview, when and where, and how long, and under what kind of conditions. So this is a consent form. That's why we need to ask our interviewee to sign a consent form, because they are well informed about what's going on or for what purpose. And then they have the right to say, yes, I'm willing to accept the interview, or say, no. Okay, even in the middle of the study, they can say, I'm sorry, I don't feel comfortable, and I would like to withdraw. They have the right to say so. So that's what we mean by interview. And lastly, getting the interaction right during the process. So the interviewer, usually that's why when I want to send my students out, I want to make sure they know the procedures to get themselves prepared. It's really not about, let me give you the questions, and then quickly let's go find and sit and then talk. You are not going to get rich data if you yourself as researchers are not well prepared, let alone your interviewee. So both sides have to be well prepared. Okay, well prepared. And lastly, when it's done perhaps during the interview, okay, there are a lot of things to learn. You need to go and observe and then know whether they are talking to the right direction that you wish, or what if they don't know. You know, there are a lot of issues going on during the interaction, this professional communication. And afterwards, you think about, a lot of times you go back, you as a researcher, you have some reflection. You quickly think about what are the key points my interviewee are trying to say to me. Is there anything is that not clear yet? Should I send them more questions for my interviewee to further elaborate? Okay, so it's never done on the spot. It's always coming back home, and then the researcher has deep reflection and sending out the questions again. So that's the cycle. So interview never starts right on that spot only. It involves the preparation before the interview. It's not going to end right on that spot afterwards. It's ongoing, okay, questions after the interview. Okay? So before and then after. Okay. So let's see. All right. And then hard work. I think a lot of hard work. Getting the data, yes, that's the first daunting task. Okay, particularly finding the right person to be interviewed. After you get the data, lots of data, and your work is, so first of all, right now, Anyone who had the experience interview any person in our class? Anyone? You, really?
Yeah.
Okay, could you share a bit about your experience? Who did you interview?
I interviewed my teachers in high school
Oh,
um,
for what purpose?
for a educational course when I'm in college.
Oh, okay.
And to be honest, I have no idea of the techniques of interview back to that time.
Okay, so you were
Even
just...
though, yeah,
Uh-huh.
even though I reread it after years later,
Uh-huh.
I think I did have some of the skills which is used in that interview,
Uh-huh.
but I didn't know the knowledge background behind.
Behind.
Mm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good to know. So right now, after some knowledge here, do you think you have a better idea?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, good. Anyone else? Thanks for sharing. Anyone else who had the, oh, okay. So who did you interview? For what purpose?
Like I have shared last week, I've done it for my research paper in my bachelor degree, from my undergraduate study. One requirement to graduate. So, like my research question, my last group research questions, I was observing the language phenomena in my ethnic groups in university. So they are migrating from the original place. So the second generation couldn't speak their mother tongue due to the need of the conversation. So they can all speak the locals in Bangladesh.
So what did you interview? For what purpose?
So yeah, so to observe the language.
Observe.
Yeah. So I must find out, are they really couldn't speak their mother tongue? I interviewed their parents and their children. First generation and also second generation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. How long did you spend there?
Actually, because I did my research during COVID.
Oh.
So,
Could you get in?
no, I just called them. I
Okay.
called them, yeah, and I record the conversation.
Record the conversation.
Yeah.
So you interviewed them through Zoom? Through what?
Through WhatsApp.
WhatsApp? Okay. All right. And then how did you invite them? How do you know they were the right people for you to interview?
From my networking.
Networking.
And my strong people help me. Because I'm also part of the ethnic group, so I can recognize all their names.
Okay. Good. All right. So let's see. These are some of the things that we need to consider, all right? Qualitative data analysis as subjective. Because you, researcher, you have your own personal agenda. It didn't come without any purpose. You did have a purpose, right? You did, yes. Because of that research purpose, that's why you conduct this study, okay? That purpose will guide you through data collection and also data analysis. And that's what we say, that you will interpreting your data subjectively because of that purpose you want to fulfill, okay? And then this is the tricky part, okay? Elsa and Sammy, so how did you get your interview data transcribed? Did you transcribe your data?
Yes. From
How?
the recordings.
Yeah, so like manually, you listen and then you type?
Yeah.
I recorded and then afterwards I listened back.
You type it down, alright? So basically, we call it manually. Manually is like you listen, you type, okay. When you have like once or two, not much, okay? However, if it's like you mainly conduct your study qualitatively and in the long term, we need, particularly right now, 21st century AI can help us do a lot of work Okay, so even for data transcription, for example, this time I used AI. Okay, I paid for the software, and then immediately all the data recordings have, transcribed into words like this. Okay, so right now we can say we are lucky in a way that we don't really have to do it manually. Okay, so anyone who has used any software already? Not really. Next time I'll share with you what software I use for transcription. It's a lot more easier. It's like, okay, it's there.
It's subscriber.
Okay. Right now, I think there are all kinds. Okay, all kinds. As long as you think the price is reasonable. What I pay is, I try. They have like annually like 300 something US dollars, and So what I pay is 1 month. So I know that right after my data collection, I know within 1 month I should be able to get all the things collected and transcribed. So I pay, I think, 12 US dollars per month. But I only use that month. Like make sure that everything is collected and I have all the data sets transcribed within that month. So when it's the deadline, then I pay 12 US dollars for the transcription. And I think that's quite reasonable. Rather than I used to hire assistants helping me transcribe. I have to pay more than several $1,000s for the transcription. Okay, but this time it's like, okay, only a few seconds away and all the data sets can be transcribed. Okay, all right. So usually, how to come to data fresh? What does that mean? How can we come to data fresh? And what is it for? Why do we have to come to data fresh?
We can't use old data because it is not travel to the time we are using, right?
Oh, here is that let's say we collect data. Okay, here comes the data. What does it mean that we have to come to the data fresh? Huh? Oh, okay. While we still remember, so that's fresh in a way. Okay, fresh. I think it also means that we do not carry only the researcher's perspective to read the data set. A lot of time, to your surprise, how come the student didn't respond in this way? So that's another fresh perspective. So keep a distance and always ask yourself why the respondents or the interviewee say something in this way. Okay, so that's fresh. Okay, you carry a perspective that's different from what you originally supposed. Okay, otherwise, you are not going to find anything new. Okay, right? How to allow data emerge naturally? Okay, how? Based on my personal experience, you really have to give your participants time to express themselves. Okay? Because, see, it's not like human beings. If you have more time, they feel they are much relaxed. They are willing to tell you and share with you a lot more. And because of that relaxed and natural environment, you will get to know them well, and a lot of data just coming out naturally. Rather than saying, Q1, answer. Question 2, answer. A lot of researchers are like this. Yeah, Q3, question, answer.
Yeah. It's like misreporting.
It's a report. It's like I just report what you said without my personal interpretation or purpose, without really seeing things behind you. Actually, researcher, the reporter is whatever you say, I report it. However, qualitative research is why are they saying things like that? They want to show something behind. In order to see something behind, you need to give them time. So the data will come out naturally. If it's everything so limited, the space is limited, time is limited, I can accept whatever a little bit. You wouldn't be able to share a lot more. Okay? It's like human being relationship. If every time you come together, it's always limited, you are not able to see a lot of things, a lot of insight or stories behind. Okay? You should be willing to give them time to explore. Okay? So the setting and the time for interview is really important. Okay? Next one, how to scribble things down without thinking. It's the technique, I would say. Okay? For example, when I interview my interviewees, I always have a lot of piece of paper. Okay? I put down the time and date, beginning, and then whatever I say, I'll just quickly scribble. Because I know later I might follow up. I said, you said that this, and could you explain a little bit more? And how would you remember? Because they'll just keep talking. So you need to scribble. And they said, hey, how would they say that? Okay, scribble it down and say, I thought this, but you said this. Could you explain? Very quickly, okay? So these are the techniques that you need to learn as a researcher. And scribble is really important. Sometimes you might draw a picture. If writing is not, like for a lot of people, they will just draw a relationship and then help them remember. Okay? And then even during there was concept mapping and try to understand what the interviewees are trying to convey in this whole interview. Okay? How to treat interview as accounts rather than reports. You don't take whatever interviewee say to you. Otherwise, you become reporters. You are not researchers. What you are trying to say is why. Okay? Huh? Why are you saying so? But last time when I observed you in the class, okay, some students will tell you, oh, I enjoyed the class a lot. But when you observe the student, they didn't pay any attention. For example, is that what you see and what they behave differently? And why? You might want to ask. Okay. So that triangulation will give you other sources for you to confirm or for you to check during the interview. Okay? So what does it mean? They are not simply reflection of a set of interior beliefs or knowledge, but constructions that depend on category identifications and account processes. Let me read it again. They are not simply reflections of a set of interior beliefs or knowledge, but constructions. I think the point is about constructions. You are constructing the meanings of what you learned and heard from your interviewees. Is it, how come it's like this? Okay, why this interviewee are saying things in this way? Okay, then if you don't know, then you ask further questions. You construct it, you try to make sense of what he or she said. Okay, so that's constructions. And that professional conversation is helping you to construct the meaning, to make sense and to understand what's really going on. Rather than A, B, and then give me an answer and I write it there. If you are doing this, it's just objectively report whatever the interviewee said to us. That wouldn't make you a qualitative researcher. The qualitative researcher is that you have a very clear purpose and you are trying to make sense of what's really going on. Okay? By asking questions, observing, making sense, and to check if there are any conflicts or conflicting messages, and you are trying to construct what's really going on here, okay? And then interpret the whole data sets, okay? And to make your own claims based on your interpretations, okay? All right. So, and today, okay, I'm going to give you, let's try, okay? We said that before, during, and after, right? So I'm going to share with you a story, and after you have the chance to listen to the story. I want you to decide. Okay, they are stories, they are characters, right? I want you as a group to pick a character to interview. Okay? And I want you to tell me, why do you want to pick that character? There are many different characters in the story. Why do you want to pick that one? For what purpose? You want to interview, want to get the insight, for what? You got to have a purpose. You're not for the sake of interview. They are always purposes. So who are going to benefit from the interview outcome? You get, wow, I can interview outcome here. You learn the story. So then for what? Okay, who is going to benefit from the interview outcome? Alright? So the story will be told by 3 video clips, very short one. And okay, here comes the story. This, for me, there are at least 2 central characters. One is the mom, the other one is the daughter. And I'm just going to show you 3 video clips. The daughter, when the daughter was 5 years old, 7 years old, or 9 years old, 5, 9, and then 17. 5, 9, and 17. And throughout the years, this daughter has been doing the same thing over the years. Okay? Will you be curious? Why? Okay? And what about the role of the mother? Throughout the whole years, as a mom, seeing the daughter doing this thing for years. Okay? So what is the role of the mother? Okay? I'll give you time to rest, okay? But let's watch the video, and then when you work in group, you want to take a break, you can take a break. Could we do that? So then we can proceed, okay? Some of the videos, they might have some Chinese characters or Chinese interpretations. So for our foreign students, our local students, please help out, okay? If there's some, I try to transcribe some messages in English already, the subtitles. But if there are still some messages, then please help out our local students, okay? All right. So the first video, when the main character was 5 years old, okay? I'm not sure whether you know this story, but this is one of that. Okay, this is when Catherine was 5 years old.
My name is Catherine. We ask people to buy Bennett so we can save lives in Africa.
My name is Linda. This whole thing started back in April when I had viewed a program on PBS called Malaria Fever Wars. It was just a history and a wonderful educational opportunity for me to learn about malaria, how it can be prevented and how it can be cured. And it just triggered just such emotion in me. The information that I had learned truly haunted me, and I knew I had to do something to make this better. My daughter Catherine, who was 5 years old, said, "Mom, let's do something about this. Let's send them some bed nets."
Bennett save lives because they stop mosquitoes from biting the Africans while they sleep. Mosquitoes carry a deadly disease called malaria. Every 30 seconds, a child dies from malaria. When the mosquitoes come, if they have a bed net, the mosquitoes won't get in, but if they don't have a bed net, the mosquitoes will get them and they'll have a very bad disease.
We decided to come up with a diorama, and my son Joseph, who was 3 years old, he had a great hand in putting the diorama together as well. We took it to all of our Sunday school classes, and we just had kind of a little skit where the kids could come up, they could be a mosquito, and one could be the family, and then we had a little person come in and give them a bed net, and we were able to show them with a tactile experience how a bed net really works and how a bed net can save a person's life. The kids took to it. The 5-year-olds and the 6-year-olds, they understood it. They got this. They knew a bed net would save a life, and it just grew and grew and grew, and here we are now. To date, we've raised over $10,000. We are elated and thrilled to send over 1,000 bed nets to Africa. I feel so incredibly proud that my family has really stepped up to do something so wonderful and so simple to save lives. Ultimately, the power of one child can make a difference, and this $10 will save a life.
Okay, so that's when Catherine was 5 years old, okay? And next one, I think when she was... Is that what happened?
Let's watch this.
So, I think, is this what I said? I said it. Let's, I think I didn't, wait. I feel like my eyes are so bad now. I can see one thing, I sent a different thing to you, to those. Okay, this one.
For 3 years, 9-year-old Catherine Kamali and her family have made it their mission to send bed nets to children in Africa. To date, her family has raised more than $135,000 to send nets and save lives. Her efforts have inspired thousands of people, including ESPN's Rick Riley and President Clinton. When the United Nations Foundation's Nothing But Nets asked supporters to protect refugees in Africa, where malaria is the #1 killer, Catherine met the challenge and also wrote a message of hope to be delivered with a life-saving net she helped to send.
I was able to get one message of hope from Catherine this morning before I got on the plane. I wanted to read it to you. It says, "Hi, I hope my mom was able to give you a bed net. Please know that we are working hard in America to get rid of malaria. I hope you are well, from Catherine and Kamali."
In 2009, Catherine's mother, Linda, traveled to Uganda with Nothing But Nets and delivered Catherine's message of hope to a young refugee named Simon.
I was so excited for the opportunity to go to Uganda. It was such a wonderful experience to be able to see in person the impact that Catherine and I have been making. Giving a net and a message of hope written by my daughter Catherine to Simon was such a wonderful experience. It was such a gift to be able to hang nets with moms and dads. I knew that our efforts were truly saving lives. I'm so incredibly proud of the work that my daughter Catherine has done over the past few years. As the mother of 2 small children, I believe with my whole heart that we need to help all the mothers in Africa to protect their children from malaria. We can do this, but we need to do it together. Please show Catherine that she's not alone.
Please send more nets. Families in Africa really need them. If you want to send a net and help support our foundation, go to www.nothingbutnets.net and send a net. Save a life.
Okay, I think the key word here is this one here, right? Send a net, save a life. Okay, that's the message. So this time, I think Catherine was 9 years old. Okay, 5 and 9. And then years later, when Catherine was 17 years old, she was invited to Taiwan. Okay, she was invited to Taiwan, and let's see how she interacted with the local students here. It was so interesting when I first showed this video clip to my undergraduate. My undergraduate students' first response was, "Is it real? Is it something authentic? Is this a real story, or are you making it?" Okay. Then later I said to the student, "But what about Catherine? When she at that time was 17 years old, she was invited by a business, what is that? A journal, Jinzhoukan, right? She was invited and she was sharing experience. And let's see how she looked like when she was 17, and I think was 2018. So Catherine right now is 23 years old. And Catherine right now, 23. And let's see when Catherine was 7 years old. Do you have any questions, okay? To anyone? So right now, Now let's see,
The
Catherine.
statistic that every 30 seconds a child dies, and just finding what triggers your passion and just kind of running that. My name is Catherine Camali. I'm 17 years old, and my mom and I have been spokespeople for Nothing But Nets for the past 12 years. I started when I was 5 years old.
On our local PBS station, all about malaria, and that's where Catherine learned about malaria, the statistic that every 30 seconds a child dies.
And when she told me that the next morning, it really struck me hard. And I counted to 30 on my fingers when I was 5 years old. I thought of my baby brother, I thought of my friends at kindergarten, and I was just really struck that any child was dying and that wasn't okay, and that I really wanted to help out.
That these wonderful life-saving bed nets could protect someone from this disease. Once she put the two pieces together, there was no stopping her at 5 years old. She said, Mom, we're gonna send nets, let's go, we're sending nets. And she was unstoppable at that very young age.
My dad's a teacher, so he gets a lot of gift cards. So I thought, what if we created a gift card where you could kind of gift a bed net in someone's honors?
凯瑟琳是当时年纪最小的捐赠者，不但获得荣誉证书，被封为文章大使，还促使比尔盖茨捐了300万美元。比尔盖茨基金会在2008年甚至
Okay, here I think the key part is that she wrote to Bill Gates and asked for $3 million to be sent to Africa to buy bed nets. $3 million because of a letter she wrote to Bill Gates. Okay, to Bill Gates Foundation.
出钱拍摄孩子救孩子的公益纪录片。
So I got the chance to go to Uganda. She was only about 7 years old at the time. She originally was going to take the trip with me, but there was some civil war outbursts going on, so we decided not to allow her to go. So I just went on my own. It was very overwhelming to actually see malaria in front of me. And we went to clinics, and we went to hospitals, and we went to villages where the Civil War had just ended, to see war, the ravages of war, but then to see this piece of malaria when you have no control over this mosquito bite that you get, was very profound for me. It was very emotional. To give out about 2,300 nets, I got to go into hut after hut and hang up the nets for the families. And what really blew my mind was that so many families, an entire family will sleep under one net if they only have one. So a family of 6, a family of 7 will all be together on a mat. And every night before they go to bed, tuck that net under to keep them safe.
But like I said, I was credited with $3 million, so that means 300,000 nets were sent over. So let's say that 4 to 5 people sleep under each net, then it's definitely more than $1 million, yeah. It was supposed to be eradicated by 2015, and while we did see a big change in that statistic from 30 seconds to 120 seconds, malaria still does exist, and that was definitely hard for me. I think if you just keep working towards that goal of eradicating malaria, then I think it will definitely happen. When I was about 6 or 7 years old, I was invited by President Bush for the first World Malaria Day, but I was definitely really excited and anxious to be there at the White House. It's a huge privilege and honor.
今年6月，凯瑟琳全家首度受邀来台参加小学生公益行动竞赛的颁奖典礼，和来自全国各地的3000名小学生分享担任蚊帐大使的亲身故事。为了更了解台湾的小学生，凯瑟琳一家人亲自参与宗教大实验小学生策划的台中救城导览行动。
So think about if your students have this opportunity, like inviting Catherine to come into the classroom, okay, and Catherine being there and having the interaction. So what kind of questions you might have for her, or what kind of activity you would like to design for your students to interact with her, okay? All right, so let's see.
That's really good. What I would say to them is what excites you about this story? What is in your heart, and how do you want to give back to your community, to your people, to your what global impact do you want to have? And go for it. Go for it. Ask for help. Ask teachers for help. Ask your parents. Anyone can make a difference, no matter what age. Disability, no disability, everyone has the power to make someone's life a little better, and that was our goal.
Okay. So the group discussion. Who would you like to interview? Okay. I have my own preference. I'm not sure about yours. Okay. What is the purpose of the interview? If you want to interview, you got to have a purpose. So what is the purpose of interview? And then think about who will benefit from the results of the interview or interview. Okay? And what will you do before, during, and after? Let's say if you want to interview, say Catherine's mom, what kind of preparation you're going to have before you go? Right? And definitely, what questions will you ask? What questions will you ask? And then if you want to, let's say if you want to interview, I'm not sure whether you will be interested in Catherine's parents, dad or mom, what difficulties you might have or you might anticipate. It's very important for you to ask what challenges or difficulties before you go. So you can get yourself prepared psychologically and also I think strategically. And you get yourself more prepared for the challenges. Okay. So, all right, that's the task we are going to have. You have 20 minutes to work on this task. If you need a break, feel free to take a short break. And then when you come back, you have 20 minutes. Afterwards, type in your response there and we will ask you to share. I'm curious about who you would like to interview and for what purpose. Okay? And I'll share what you want.
Yeah.
You don't have to have lunch for me because I have a meeting to go. Okay. I just got this morning. Could you help me eat? But I don't have the whole set for everybody, so I'm just going to split it so that you can share. Okay? Okay, you can choose two flavor. Which two? And I'll cut it. Two flavors. I think for you. Whatever flavor is good. I don't know what name, but because it's company, I can choose this. 在干嘛？OK。OK， 好。
这样是不是都集中在那里？
一定要吃哦。好。Alright, you could choose 2 flavors. So what would you like to have? Yeah. Okay.
I would like to review.
And then what about one more? 什么牛奶？什么小月？什么牛奶？Would you like this?
我觉得一开始他说他们那个然后他不想他自己去，可是这个东西他是发行，对，就是我想说那到底是 the power of one or just being activated by
哎呦，你谢谢讲得好。
This is amazing. It's like being really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very useful.
That is devotion.
Okay, pick 3 flavors.
No, but we tell understand the brain to say this is like a very
Wise.
same
Oh.
and speaking this.
It's like Thai and
Maybe.
This one. You know this? Taro. Okay.
Yeah. Grab something big.
Alright. Wow. What flavor would you like to have? 2. Or you choose 2 flavors?
Chinese
This is tea.
when you like,
Sugar.
it's happened slots by now. And lemons.
With fancy one.
No, wait, so
This is taro.
not only by
Sugar free. Healthy. Okay.
Yeah.
With 水蜜桃蛋白质，还没有吃咯。
Why do you
Do you have this in Vietnam?
Huh?
Kind of.
I thought we are friends. We.
Well, the foreign minister is not far away.
We in like as I mean, look very large foreign countries and just come in this field. I mean, it's just like my family. My family wants to personally, Japan, we have opportunity to ask for passport. Passport holder. Passport electronic.
free pizza，我想说，哇，
No, electronic passport can go free. Other than that, still charge.
Paperback, no. Paperback.
No. So that's why President said. She is visiting all countries.
Yeah.
For the future, I respect her so much. for the children? Is it going to be related for the experiment?
I would say
Me too. We are in March. So we are doing the same. Because I'm not doing research on research representative office. And we are taking break. So who? The question is who? Listen, so the question is, that is not, how many options do we have? Who?
3-year-old. Yeah, 7-year-old.
With the age, with the little Catherine and the adult Catherine, I mean the teenager. Oh.
That's technically never happened.
7-year-old.
Yeah, of course, it's more
like rarely. Yeah. It's like,
of course,
you're also fails. So in Taiwan, we often say we don't want to use
for the targets for the next
but the video explains that.
Oh yeah. But I mean, my purpose is to be more about our future projects. Is it mentioned about older than malaria? Or
Early age.
I don't think that is why we would like to know that. About one person. Yes. 7 years.
It sounds like this is
Parents, I say.
Okay, so then we discuss, okay? If there's only one to interview, so who would you like to interview?
Do we need to come with a group answer? We need to have one.
Yeah, yes. Okay, so you have to convince the other person.
I don't know. It's
Okay.
okay.
Have you decided to interview? Yeah.
I don't think
Yeah, so that's how I used to brother.
knowledge.
Character. There's group interview.
What the question? I mean, yes.
New second language. Will you consider going to graduate school? Will you? You are considering?
Because next year I will organize a master. I will go to France for 1 year.
Oh, 1 year?
Yeah.
交换头1年。And why are you just 你为什么不就是那个学位？
因为就是想说先去那边看一下，就是了解如果可以的话，可能申请去法。然后
you are a French major? Were, right? Were.
然后如果不行的话，那就回来台湾。
OK，对，其实对，你也可以用1年，然后再去看你个人情况。
你到这边嘛，就是我觉得福利蛮好的。
对呀，而且因为法国的学不需要太多吧？
看读什么学校。然后前阵子马克龙上任之后，他把学费调高了，所以会比较贵。
但是外国人跟他们本地的学费都差不多，
不一样，差10倍。
啊，所以
欧盟跟北欧盟差10倍。
OK，I see。我知道像欧美、英国、美国去的差不多，可是法国这边
不会到英国那么高，可能1年通常是来100万，蛮生活费是大概100万。
OK，所以他的学费是没有很夸张。
对，英国
但是生活费应该差不多欧盟
差不多看你怎么花。对，可是像法国也有补助，他们帮租房子。
啊，你会不会可以？
可以，就什么？他给你如果住400万，他给300万，200到300万，所以
比我交钱都少。Tax， 不是 tax 应该是交很多。
所以外国人他们就是本地人他们会觉得说给外国人那么多，但你应该要跟他们说，学费跟他们的学费是一样的。那他们本地大学，像是国立大学的话，1学期才3000块。对，那外国人可能是3万块。
It's a huge difference.
So have you uploaded all the responses? Still okay. Is it one group, one person upload it? And then we will show your discussion.
Yeah. Okay. And forward without seeing later.
So that is a huge gap. And it's a process. And it's not in the very beginning that they reach that is the best understand for parents. They can get crossed up.
Have you tested it? Okay, so please step up to this
One of the
carry out this
What about charity
It's not focused on
Before that we go do some more research on the internet. So make sure that we some very or maybe some sheets that they have never been inside. We assume that they have interviews. But some of the questions were asked. So maybe
If we review the link, then we can see their. So that we have to add before.
The content of the part and we have to add for the
or is it only
ask for consent. Ask for consent. Oh. Yeah.
I want to ask her why, but I'm afraid that abrasive, sound abrasive. Why do you do this? Wow.
I don't think so.
It's not
Because I'm
abrasive.
customary, like compression. Yeah, you know what? It's just a scratch.
Then do you think of a mild way to ask why do you think this project is more important than others?
So you want to go more
Where do you get this idea? I think it's in one of the I heard of it, but it is why first about because you have a lot of information about the company, but you mentioned this much, and then you do it here. Or why don't you help married kids? But yeah. Why do you think someone so far? That's right. That's right. That is the very beginning.
Oh.
And she found that it's very but slow herself to save money.
The beginning of
So
that
then
event,
she tried to encourage others.
after
Yes, that is very important.
next 30 years, how we have to do this, focus on this rather than over
Like one.
It should be
Okay, 11:58, just upload whatever you have. Okay, 3 minutes later, upload whatever you have.
I think it's not.
I think it's not.
Yeah, I have it.
You can just send that.
Right, and then you also, when it's so difficult, what might be some of the strategies, ways that you try to contact? If it's difficult to reach mom, it will be more difficult to reach dad, right? It's like Okay, 2 more minutes. Just upload whatever you have.
Personally, I checked the
You are I checked. Oh, yeah, good. Okay.
almost everything. How is it negative? I'll say, this means again, I do have this, I know the reply. If I reply properly.
All right, we have 2 groups. Okay. Group 3. Group 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Next time, all right? 1, 2, 3, 4. So Angie, Elsa, you guys are go 4. Oh. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's group 4. Okay, next time, all right? Next time. It's just my logic. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, next time. All right, so we have 2 groups uploaded. It's fine because I got your name.
Who wants to help me take this attitude?
So this group, I think we have the assumption that Catherine had to convince her mom. You have that assumption, right? That she had to convince her mom. But personally, I think she doesn't have to convince her mom. Yeah.
Either one they need to do or they because one the background at times.
But I think in this case, I think this whole event, the idea initiated by her mom. Because her mom was a school teacher and her mom read the news. And she talked about the idea. And so I think Catherine in a way was influenced by her mom. And her dad, also a teacher, school teacher too. Yeah. But definitely knowing about it and really put it into action, it's 2 different things, right? We could, well informed, but her mom might be a bit surprised, like, huh? So you want to do something about it, right? Okay. See, remember, they decided not allow Catherine to go to Uganda. Originally, they planned that Catherine could also go together. But then because of the civil war, so then later they decided not to let her go. So Catherine instead wrote a letter to the kids in Africa. Remember that part? Yeah. They still need to make some decisions because she was only like 7 years old. Too young. In reality, how likely it is to interview. Okay, let's come back here. This girl's Catherine, right? What about that girl? Catherine's mom. This girl?
Catherine's mom.
Catherine's mom. Okay, for what different kind of purpose? And this group? Catherine's father. Hey, okay. Catherine's father. Okay, we will see. Okay. So for this group, let's take a look at this group here. Okay. The purpose for what? Let's see. Huh? Could somebody from this group talk about your discussion? So Catherine, and for what purpose? Very quickly. To understand the experience, the whole process, and the difficulty she encountered. And why is this? And the next person who plays for what purpose? Is that hopefully all the information can be helpful for the next person who plans to hold another charity campaign. So all the experiences, everything that Catherine has shared will be helpful. Okay. Let's see and decide the purpose and questions. Ask questions. Before decide the purpose and questions, I would say, okay, that's the key. I think it's very important to collect all the relevant information. If I were, for example, if I were Catherine or Catherine's mom, a lot of questions it sounds to me it's like, I've been asked many times. And you could actually read this magazine or that website or that this or that. Because for years they have been interviewed, imagine. They've been interviewed for so many times, all right? So as a researcher, you got to study very hard. Get all information and then go at least one step further. So otherwise, Catherine will say, oh, you could refer to this interview. I already shared that in that interview, all right? So that's the kind of work that as researcher we have to work on. Otherwise, you'll get this kind of response. They say, oh, you can go watch this, you can go listen to this, oh, you can go read this. I already have all the information you want. In other words, what she's saying is that you did not study hard enough. You are not ready for the interview, right? Okay, that's very important. Okay, and the question, let's take a look at the question. What motivates you and how did you convince your mom? And I just had a conversation with this group. I think Catherine actually didn't have to convince her mom because her mom supported this idea. But if they say the idea of put that idea into actions, that probably will be something different. Knowing that, get informed about this whole event and try to make it into a charity activity, calling actions and road to Bill Gates, asking for money. I think there are a series of different things. And perhaps her mom might be a bit concerned, and she also have to convince her mom in a way. Okay. What are the difficulties that they encounter? Okay, so you were asking the experience, the difficulties. Okay. And lastly, to make appointments. This is all the issues I bet is all about entry point, right? Entry point, I bet. It's the same for you guys when you want to conduct interview in the future for your thesis. You always have this entry point issue, okay? So think about, you've got to have good relationships with your colleague, your peers, because they can help you to get that connection. You always need to have some certain kind of connections to get into that research site. You wouldn't be able to just get in. So that entry point is really important, okay? All right, so that's this group. Let's move on to the next group. Okay, we have, all right, so they're going to interview Catherine's mom and to get to know her parenting. So what you care about is about parenting. So before is formulating the questions, setting up the interview, scheduling, ensuring agreement with the interviewee, and sending questions beforehand. Very good, okay? Sending questions beforehand. During, make sure the filming and recording and note-taking. Very good. So you get a very good sense, okay? For recording, okay? I know this is a give and take. Some people are, I think Catherine's mom probably it's very used to being recorded and videotape. But for ordinary people like us, perhaps it's okay to be audio tape. But videotape, or they could be a threat for some people. Okay, so you have to, don't ask just on the spot. Before the interview, say, it's okay, we videotape you. I don't think that's a nice gesture. If you want to do that, because it's quite threatening for some people. If you want to do that, ask way beforehand. And to say, to ensure many times that we're going to do that for research purpose. If the video is shown at any time, okay, we will get your permission. You wouldn't do it without her or his permission. So this is quite serious, all right? So don't do it right on the spot. Otherwise, usually you will get, really? Could we do that? No? 可以不要吗? Is it better to say, could I say no? You usually get no. All right? Okay, so it's better to ask for permission way before, okay? To get the permission. And lastly, it's about how do you feel when she devotes her time in a project for years? Yeah, how do you feel? Any struggles? Okay, yeah, that's a very good question. Okay, before any, so is that's all you have, right? Transcribing and analyzing data afterwards. Okay. Usually, I think before you do the transcription, for a lot of researchers, before you do the transcription, a lot of time, I think right after your interview, what we need to do is quickly be with yourself and then listen to your inner voice and see, what have I heard? What is inside my mind now? What are some of the interesting questions that I really wanted to be included in my thesis? That part is very important. Don't run away, don't do some other thing. Just give yourself 10 minutes also. Very quickly listen to yourself. Jot down the main ideas before all the ideas are gone. Okay, very important. And then if you need to send a follow-up question, do it right away because your participant, they still can remember what's really going on. So the follow-up question will be easy, okay? You just say Could you further elaborate this point a little bit? If you waited until, like a few weeks later and you suddenly send your participant a question, so what is this about? I don't quite remember, so I don't know how to add on. What a great payment, and it takes so much time and effort. Okay? So that afterwards is so important. Okay? Make it effective. Okay? Alright? Oh, we only have 2 groups? What about the other 2 groups? Oh, where should I refresh it? The only thing I know is just do it again. Ta-da! Good. So, let's see this for you. Okay, so Catherine's mother, okay, endorsement, what does that mean? For endorsements.
Try to collect money, right? So we can use this as one of the we can share our review outcome to others through different the video can spread like in
So what you're saying is you want to interview Catherine's mom to.
I think parents will understand what his mother are thinking, and maybe they can support this project because they are those who actually can support, provide financial support.
Financial support from Catherine's mom.
No.
Endorsement, like getting some financial support from other, like Bill Gates.
Yeah.
So the purpose of interview Catherine's mom is try to get more support from others.
Other parents, because there is a parent that support his kids, her kids to do this kind of project. Maybe our kids can, but we can support it.
Oh, maybe our kids cannot do it. So let me do it financially. Just give money to let them do it then. Okay? Okay. Oh. Alright. Okay, share our findings, organize the outcome. Okay. Okay, so the question is, why did they pick up the bed to African children? That's the first action. Okay. All right. We cannot reach her mom. Once again, that's an entry point issue for all the particularly qualitative research. Okay. Let's see. This is so interesting. The father. Okay. Okay. Do you see how he supported and motivated his family? So it's like, oh, the important figure behind shining star, right? Catherine and Catherine's mom. To see how being a teacher influences the parenting style. Hey, that sounds very research. Yes, parenting style. Yes. Okay. In fact, that's my purpose of asking you to do the discussion. It's like how you can link your observation with research purpose. Parenting style definitely is one of the research themes, research issues, okay? And before background research, prepare questions during, take notes, create a comfortable environment, being a good listener. That's also very important. If you can push them, you just want to ask, they will shut. Okay, they wouldn't want to share. And after analyze, interpreting, send a thank you note. Good. Okay, don't forget. This is a nice gesture, right? Send a thank you note just in case you have further questions. If you have further questions, they are more willing to share more, right? So thank you note is also quite important. When the daughter brought up the idea, did he concern the financial situation? Okay, it means that did they have to spend a lot of money on this?
In the initial, during the initial time when the daughter came up with the idea, during that time they didn't have any funding from outside.
Yeah.
So did he, as a father, face any financial situation?
Yeah, very good, very good. Yeah, the reality. Okay. See, look at this. Okay, this group, language and cultural barriers, very good. This connects with research here in our department. Cultural barrier, cultural conflicts, ideology, right? Like this parenting and that parenting. Okay, very good. And whether the data is valid, okay? Because we only have one interviewee. Okay? Very, very valid question to ask. Could we interview more like Catherine's father if we want to know parenting style? And who else to interview? So these are all very valid questions. Me as a teacher, what I really want to know is, yes, from an instructor's perspective, particularly I'm a reading and writing instructor. See, like Catherine used a lot of the power of reading and the power of writing to make something happen, right? So it's not only about reading and writing, it's about seeing reading and writing got the power. So she can convince Bill Gates to donate $3 million US. Okay. So that's that. If I were the researcher, that would be something I'm very interested in. Okay, how reading and writing played a role in Catherine's growing up and in the school. Okay, the literacy education. All right. So I hope that this activity will give you some sense about interview, how you can get yourself prepared before and during and right afterwards, and how that connects with all the research themes and issues here in this department. Okay? All right. Thank you. I hope that you have a nice day. Okay? A nice week. Goodbye. I'll see you next week.